we switch our attention from the issues of the elections in Kogi State to the matters of the hate speech bill, which is sponsored by Senator Shabi Abdullah. There's been intense debate over the hate speech bill. The sponsor of the controversial bill, Senator Shabi Abdullah, appears to be bowing to pressure and has now promised that there will be an amendment to the death penalty clause of the bill. In the current bill, the death penalty is recommended for offenders, particularly those whose pose lead to the death of others. The Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate and sponsor of the bill, Senator Abdullah, says the penalty will be amended by the upper legislative chamber. According to the lawmaker, the bill will undergo fine-tuning to reflect the views of Nigerians. In his own words, Senator Abdullah says, clearly, from conversations, Nigerians agree that we have a problem in our society today as a result of hate speech, which has fueled so many violence, killings, and is responsible for cases of depression and suicide. The overall concern is to curb violence and unnecessary loss of lives and livelihoods of Nigerians due to hate-induced violence. Let's get some perspective on this issue. I have two lawyers joining me on the program tonight. A right activist, Mr. Frank Tete from our Abuja studio, and from London is Mr. Daniel Buala. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming up tonight on the program. What is giving a lot of Nigerians concern is the section 4 of that document, the subsection 2, which says any person who commits any of an offense under this section shall be liable to life imprisonment, and where the act causes any loss of life, the person shall be punished with death by hanging, which the senator says is going to be amended. Mr. Tietie, from the point of view of human rights, if you look at those who have been affected by hate speech, which has caused loss of lives to so many and led into hatred and ethnic violence in some areas, would you say this is a bill that was needed?
Thank you very much. I do not agree. I want us to look at the remote causes of much of the violence we've had as a country, dating back to the 60s and to the present day. There haven't been any form of direct relation to hate speeches by certain persons. Rather, we will attribute much of those pockets of violence to the political mismanagement of our affairs by politicians. And so this idea of not wanting to take responsibility for such irresponsible acts by those that we have given, that have the responsibility to govern our state, that have messed up practically, that have been unable to unite a people, that have rather decided to exploit our differences for their cheap and punny political objectives, have now turned around to say that hate speech has been responsible. You see, there's a lack of research, a lack of cutting edge, pinpointing, research that points to the fact that hate speech can be related to a particular incident that has taken so many lives and that has now become a reason for having a hate speech enforcement commission. This kind of cheap approach to governance. This is, according to what Femi Falana refers to, a lazy approach to governance, a lack of innovative approaches to governing Nigeria is what's responsible for always picking up, resorting to law, needless laws, replication of laws, replication of institutions, not caring about
Mr.
the fact that those who are responsible
would you join? Would you also say, because a lot of people are drawing political inferences to this, do you think that this has any political undertone, the reason why this bill is being proposed in the first place?
The bill is diversionary. We're not dealing with the real issues. We're not dealing with the fact that government has neglected its responsibility in profiling innovative means of uniting Nigerians, in trying to civilize Nigerians. And interestingly and unfortunately, we were there sometime. The military realized the importance of giving proper orientation to Nigerians, and they put to use the mass media, proper use to the mass media. But in these days, you see people who don't take active steps in trying to mold the thinking of Nigerians, in trying to take proper approaches that will help us think out of love or respect for our human rights. Rather, we are thinking of how to just make people to be afraid of governance. And rather than think, rather than work, rather than carry out proper research, simple legal research, we won't do. Going and then replicating for political purposes. And I think that, yes, it's easy to say, okay, there is an expectation that there could be a backlash of certain happenings in the past. But what you don't need is a law. What you do need is concerted effort by government agencies, by
All right,
government.
Mr. Tietie, let me allow your friend, Mr. Buala, to coming into the conversation. Mr. Buala, there's been political inference into this. The reason why this bill, allegations are that, look, this is to muzzle the opposition, to stop dissenting voices in the country. What are your thoughts on those kind of allegations?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm not sure if the bill is designed to stifle the opposition, but I believe that the bill is designed to stifle the rights of the Nigerian people, irrespective of the political affiliations that they belong to. The bill is inherently defective in form, defective in substance, defective even in couching, and defective in the spirit and the letter of that bill. I am sure that Nigeria is way behind in terms of development and democracy as compared to countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, France, and the rest. But even in the US, the Supreme Court of the United States emphasized that the right, the First Amendment of the American citizen cannot be derogated by the Congress. If you come to England, there is no bill, there's no law called hate speech law. But the hate speech crimes are embellished in the various statutes that they have, like the Public Order Act and the rest. We already have criminal justice statutes in Nigeria that would deal with any kind of crime as contemplated even in this defective bill. You see, the law is clear about the right of citizens. In the US, in the Bluter Halls versus the state of Illinois, the Supreme Court of the United States talks about the right of the citizens who cannot be taken. Now, let's come back to the bill, what I call lazy bill, enacted by lawmakers. If not to restrict the right of citizens, take, for example, if you say something that oppresses a particular section of the society or inflicts fear of death, it is covered by the Terrorism and Prevention Act. If you say something that maligns the image of someone, there is a law that deals with that law of defamation. If you say something that incites the public against the government, there is a law of sedition that deals with it. And in this our practice of law, duplicity is what we try to avoid, because the law, if enacted, will be considered as a bad law.
Mr. Buala, let me just get this straight from you. So this is clearly a departure from, you are an insider in the APC, you know the internal workings, because a lot of people will say the social media bill is up almost at the same time the hate speech bill, which a lot of people are already drawing political inference. Are you saying that the government of the day does not have any ulterior motive onto this? Is that what you're saying?
I do not. You see, in our party and in our government, I have seen in this my little life how that some people are overzealous in trying to impress the president by proposing all kinds of laws. Not too long ago, they were talking about third time. And he told them he's not interested. And in all the two occasions that I've had proposing this bill talked about, their emphasis is always on protecting the president. How can you pass a law to protect the president? The Constitution demands the president to protect the citizens. So I do not see it as an agenda of APC. And as an APC member, I will never in support of this bill. If enacted, I can tell you this, if this law is challenged in the court, the law is going to be struck down, because the powers of the National Assembly is to make laws for peace, order, and good government. If the law is not bringing peace, if the law is not bringing order, such as this one, that is in definition, faulty, determining what amounts to hate speech, they come and call insult as amounting to hate speech, all kinds of problems.
All right, we need to go. Mr. Tietie, in 20 seconds, what do you think is the way forward to kill this bill or to tinker with it? In 20 seconds, Mr. Tietie.
The bill should be relegated to the dustbin. Senator Savi should apply proper legislative resources to to areas that where resources are indeed needed. This is needless. This is needless replication, and I will continue to advocate that persons of competence. And I'm happy, Mr. Boala, I reaffirm my friendship on this particular matter with him. I'm happy he works for the National Assembly, and I think we need more persons who are competent to advise these lawmakers who exhibit a lot of, disconnection between our existing laws and the people. This law is needless. It shouldn't even be mentioned.
We need to leave it at that, sincerely. But I must sincerely thank the knowledge brought to the table tonight by the two of you, Mr. Frank Tietie, rights activist and lawyer, and also a friend here, Mr. Daniel Boala. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on tonight. Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Okimbalo. Enjoy the rest of your